Hi, and welcome to Game On. I'm Mary Alden Japhet. I'm a board member at SanAntonioSports.
And I'm Jenny Carnes, President and CEO of SanAntonioSports. And we have a really exciting episode today. And I get the privilege of introducing our special guest because I go way back with this person. Triva Corrales, welcome to our Game On podcast. And I'm going to read off your bio, but then we'll have you tell us in your own words, what your journey has been like. Sure. But this is going to take a while because this is super impressive.
It's actually not all that long, but there's a whole lot in here.
Yes. So currently serving as the Executive Director of Athletics at the Judson Independent School District. Triva has spent 28 years in public education. In 2010, she became the head basketball coach at Judson High School and holds a record of 295 and 91 and an overall record, and this is super impressive. This is a lot of games. 373 wins and 182 losses. She led the Judson High School girls basketball team to the playoffs all 11 seasons while she was there. 8 district championships, 5 regional championships, 5 UIL state tournament appearances.
Wow.
And won the 6A state championship. First girls basketball coach in San Antonio to do so in 2019. Awesome. She was named to the UIL top 100 coaches of all time, Coach of the Year for the Texas Girls Coaches Association, the Coach of the Year for the Texas Association of Basketball Coaches. I'm going to get all these acronyms right. San Antonio Express News Coach of the Year in 2017 and 2019. Going on and on. Express News Woman of the Year in 2019 after winning state. And most impressively, USA Today's most impressive top coach in the entire state of Texas. Incredible bio.
Yeah.
Thank you. My favorite part about your bio is our relationship. So let's go back to the early days of basketball. And we met 20 plus years ago when a lot of us were concluding our college basketball careers, but still wanting to play. So we had a little pickup game going on. We had a league at the Jewish Community Center. We played a lot of basketball together, didn't we?
Yeah, at the Antioch. That was awesome. And we still thought we were young and could get up and down and, but it was a fun way to, sport brings people together and keeps people together. So it was a fun way to stay active and still do what we love and play basketball.
Well, let's go back early. You're from San Antonio, right?
I am, yes.
Okay. How did you get into sport? I mean, it isn't always the natural pathway for girls growing up.
Growing up, I was in a household that was very strict, and it was just academics and athletics. That's all you could do. There was no extras. Mm-hmm. So those were my options. And I don't know about the pathway, just from where I grew up on the west side of San Antonio, a little rougher neighborhood, but the options that my dad gave me or my parents gave me and what they instilled in us as far as discipline and hard work transformed to the athletic competition field and in the classroom. So it's something I fell in love with. I had an older brother that, was always active and playing sports. And my sister was older and she was in cheer and in sports. And it was that was natural progression for me because I had 2 models in front of me to follow.
That's fantastic.
Probably helped drive a little competitive spirit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Having an older sibling, I can relate. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. My brother and I were very, very competitive. And actually, he put a lot of toughness in me. Playing with boys, it makes you tough. It really does.
And why basketball for you?
I was kind of like the taller kid in the area and in my school. And it was just something the coaches just gravitated and they were like, oh, you're tall. I think a lot of tall kids get asked that question. Are you a basketball player?
Yeah.
And so that's just how it was. And then, of course, during that time of, the Lakers and the Celtics and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and I was infatuated with that Showtime type of basketball. And it was an immediate connection for me.
When did you decide you wanted to go into coaching? And, how did you know?
Oh, I knew since probably 6th grade. I had great mentors. I talk a lot about Christina Camacho, who works in Judson ISD at Judson High School now, and her and Coach Nancy Faison, Julie Castillo. I was blessed to have coaches throughout my life that inspired me. And I saw what they did. And number one, it looked fun. And I was like, I would love to do that. And they would play against us. And, the things that they taught us weren't just sport, it was life. And I was like, how'd they get so smart, And so I knew from a young age, there was no changing my mind. I didn't have to change what I was studying in college. I know people change their courses, a direction 2-3 times, not me. Like, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I knew I wanted to win a state championship. These are things I knew from middle school age kid.
Well, so talk about your progression of your coaching career. And then I want to get into what was your secret sauce to be the first girls basketball coach in San Antonio to get over that hump of winning a state title?
Sure. The progression was, I will be honest, I started at Northside at Pat Neff Middle School, and I did middle school for 1 year, and I said, never again. I was like, this is not for me. I worked real hard, taught these kids all the plays, and our first game, they just ran and circled the ball and up and down and didn't do anything that I asked them to do. And I was like, I got to get out of here. So then I was very fortunate to go right back to my alma mater as the head coach at Burbank High School. So I was literally 23 years old.
Wow.
And coaching 18-year-olds.
Coaching 18-year-olds, same principal, same teachers. Now I'm in the teachers' lounge with the people who were my teachers. It
had to be a little weird.
It was definitely interesting, but I've always been kind of an old soul. I've always hung out with older people, never really hung out with people my age. So it felt fine for me. Mm-hmm. Stayed at Burbank for 6 years, and I think the great thing about going back to where you came from is you can inspire kids because you've been there. Mm-hmm. And we were super successful. We won a district championship there. That was the first one. They had never won one. So I felt my time was up there, though. And Coach Camacho, who was my middle school coach.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. So she's one that inspired me.
It's kind of like Popovich's tree.
Yeah.
These coaching trees.
Camacho's tree.
Yeah.
Camacho's tree is huge.
Yeah. You're right.
It's so true.
So we were just sitting at a track meet one day, and I overheard her talking about she was going to open up a new high school in Judson ISD named Karen Wagner High School, and that she needed an assistant. And I don't know, it was God sent. And I had turned around, I said, I'll be your assistant. And she said, you're crazy because you're a head coach right now. Why would you do that? I said, I just want to grow. I want to learn, and you'll have great athletes. And I want to win a state championship. Like, I need to get there. So long story short, I left Burbank and took a $10,000 pay cut, moved in with my parents because I couldn't afford my apartment anymore.
Wow.
And became her assistant coach and stayed there for 5 years. And we were successful there, went to a state tournament. So I got to feel and see and learn what it takes to get there. And then the position came open at Judson High School. And that's what you don't do. You don't go from Wagner to Judson, but I did. And they're rival schools, and but they're both great schools. And it was an awesome school district. So I wanted to stay in the school district. And it was a little bit rough at the beginning. There's a lot of change that needed to happen. But it happened quickly. And from there, I stayed there 11 years, and we all kind of know what happened. Very fortunate. We went to the state tournament 5 times in a row.
You created a dynasty.
It did turn into a little bit of a dynasty there without me even realizing it. I was so just into my work and helping kids be better, athletes and students, that you don't even realize till time's gone by and you look back and you're like, wow. That was impressive, and you don't realize it at the time. Mm-hmm. Now you talk about a secret sauce, where there really isn't. And I know when I speak at a lot of different engagements, coaches want to know how, and it's just the same ingredients that we used 20 years ago that we're still using: hard work and dedication, and understanding kids. And as they change, obviously, like. Gen Z and now Gen Alpha coming, all the generations are different. But being able to still relate is what is the key. and understand these kids and their backgrounds and what they're facing and they're dealing with. Because we say, oh, we went outside and we didn't come into the light, went on. But their life is a little bit different. Their life is always with the light on, so to speak, on social media. So their challenges are different. And I think understanding them really helped me to get them to run through a brick wall for me. And also, obviously, great athletes and great assistant coaches, because you can never do it alone.
Yeah. How do you motivate a kid? I mean, in a public school setting, generally speaking, you get who walks through the door. You don't you're not in a college situation where you're recruiting and picking and choosing. So you get who walks through the door. Now, in a Judson environment, people, I know, success begets success, but how do you see that first group of girls who come walking in on that first day of practice and try to transform them into a cohesive unit and move them forward like that?
Right. That's a great question. I think that the most important thing is you can't just care about basketball. You cannot just care about the sport. You have to know everything. You have to know where their parents work. Are they single family home? What are their needs? Do they have brothers and sisters? What's your favorite color? You have to know these things so that you can relate to them, because when things go south, you're going to have to understand and say, oh, that's why. That's probably anticipate what's going on. But you can't anticipate any of that if you don't know anything about them besides their stats. So getting to know them on a personal level and really diving into who they are as a person and who they want to be helped me as a coach. And I think it helps every coach. And I think that's what we do. We transform lives because we know who they are as people, not just as players.
Yeah.
I think most people that aren't really in the sports world like the three of us are have no idea the sacrifices and how much coaches put into their jobs, into their athletes. And you're talking about taking a $10,000 pay cut and having to go backwards. I mean, that's just a testament to how important sport is to us to be able to impact lives, right?
Yeah. Everybody talks about work-home life balance.
Yeah.
There's no such thing, really. If you want to be successful, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
And you have to have a good support system at home in order for that to happen. But to have a balance, it's not really feasible. Because these kids and the job, if you want to be good at it, it takes so much more than just what you get paid for. That means it takes so much more time. And, it's weekends, it's evenings, it's taking phone calls, hey, coach, this just happened and I need you. And you got to be there.
For the last 4 decades, San Antonio Sports has dared this community to dream big through the transformational power of sport. For 40 years, we've inspired youth to get in the game, motivated San Antonians to live healthy, been a force behind places to play, and hosted events that impact. As we celebrate 40 years of dreaming big, we invite you to dream big along with us. To support our mission, donate today at SanAntonioSports.org.
Well, before we transition into talking about your current role as one of the very few female athletic directors at a major high school in San Antonio, you have to talk about your state title run. I was at that final game. It was incredible. And there were so many of us from the San Antonio community that have played a lot of basketball together. It was a proud moment. So tell us what that was like.
One of my favorite quotes is, sometimes a setback is a setup for a comeback. And the year before, in 2018, we were playing in the championship game, and I thought I had it. I thought we had it, and it was like, I remember standing on the sideline, and maybe 3 minutes left on the clock, and I told myself, I can't believe this is going to happen. We're gonna win a state championship. This is amazing. My dream's coming true right before my eyes. And I'm talking to myself. And right after I said that, it couldn't have gone any worse. And we lost a huge lead and ended up losing the game. And I remember right after the game, just flooded with cameras in my face. And I was kind of in shock and a little bit paralyzed too. It felt like it. And I remember the question, what are your thoughts and what are you going to, what are you thinking right now? And all I remember saying is, we'll be back. And when I walked into that gym that next day or that next Monday, and it was dark and all I could hear was boom, boom. And I was like, what is going on? And my entire team was in the gym shooting and working out.
I just got the goosebumps.
I know. What a cry.
You got the goosebumps. I was like, wipe your tears, put your
And here we go.
boots on, and get to work.
And if their game, you certainly had to be, right?
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen nothing like that. And I wasn't, no person was there. The custodian must have let them in, and the lights were off. I mean, there they were.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew we were going to be back. I knew we were going to get it this time. And so that motivated us. And, everything that we talked about that entire year was a business trip. Whether it was a tournament we were going to, where we were going to play at an opponent's gym, once we got into our playoff run, everything was a business trip. We were not there to have fun. We were not there to, go swimming. We were not there to eat good food. We were there to get to work. And these girls committed to that. And before we began our playoff run, I made them all sign a contract of, this is what it's going to look like for these next few weeks. And by gosh, they bought in. And after every game, it was, I was hyped. I was like, round 1, round 2, I'd go in there, yeah. And they were just sitting there, stoic. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, we can celebrate a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
All right. It's a business trip, but we can have a little bit of fun. And so, every single round, they literally would not celebrate. They would not celebrate until that final game. And it was, even my coaches at the very end, we had the ball, and it was very likely we were going to win. It was still a 1 or 2 point game. But I was like, no, I'm not saying anything. I'm not jinxing this time. But we're very fortunate and great athletes. And one thing I must say is great parent support. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Makes a huge difference.
I had amazing parents. Moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandpas, grandmas. I mean, amazing support. And not just during the run, the whole season they would show up.
Yeah.
And they were just as bought in as the kids. And I think that's what you do when you get through to the kids. The conversation about coach doesn't change in the car ride home or at the dinner table. Everybody's supporting coach. Everybody's supporting the player and the family. And that's really the key, is to get everybody bought in on that. Winning the parents. We talk a lot about that as my next role as an AD.
Yeah.
Well, and just lifting that trophy in front of a hometown crowd. Because we hadn't been hosting the state tournament here in San Antonio for that many years. Mm-hmm. So to be able to do it here versus up in Austin had to be extra special.
Yeah. At the beginning, I didn't like it because that was a dream of mine to always, be at the...
Be in Austin.
Yeah. Be at the Ullmann Center.
Yep.
Be at the drum. And I was a little bit disappointed, but to this day, even today, driving over here and seeing the dome, it's special to me. Mm. Don't you ever tear it down.
Don't look at me. I'm not in charge of that. That's way above my pay grade.
It's special, and it still gives me goosebumps because I can remember the bus ride over and our escort, and I, just praying about it and saying, whatever you want it to be, let it be. But I'd sure like a little wink if you could.
How did you know it was time to step away from coaching?
Wow. I get asked that question a lot too. I didn't know, it was just about an opportunity. I wanted to win a state championship, but I also wanted to be a collegiate coach. Mm. That was my second, dream. And after 2020, after 2019, we went back to state tournament again. And, I had an opportunity from Coach Mitchell, Jaylee Mitchell, who was at the time at North Texas, and she called me and asked me if I'd like to come be her associate head coach. And wow, that was it. Yeah. And at the same time, I also knew that a position was open at Judson ISD for an athletic director. And I was torn because I love that district.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate from any of the schools, but I love that district just as if I had. And at the time, my mom was not, in the best health. And I was at a crossroads of what to do. Am I going to be, selfish and go after my own dreams, or, stay here and kind of help out with my family? And I think, that's what kids are supposed to do. They're supposed to take care of their parents. And even though my mom said, you go live your dream, you go and be great, do what you want to do and love it. And she gave me that, okay. It's not that I stayed because of her. I stayed because I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be here for her, but I also wanted to be here to help an entire district of coaches who were in a great position to help amazing athletes, have amazing community support, because Judson is big, but it's kind of small town also. Mm-hmm. And I prayed about it, and that's just where God led me. I don't have a really rhyme or reason to it. It was just time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So what's it been like? And I know when you started, it wasn't easy for you, because I remember one of the first things you had to do as El Jefe, as the boss. Yeah. So what's it been like for you?
It's been, I have to fulfill myself with things that, where I can do more. Being an athletic director, I can't just do what I call the BS. And everybody looks at me like, are you cussing over here? No, I'm not. I'm just talking about the budget and the scheduling.
Yeah, the administrative stuff.
I'm not a BS person. I can't just stop and do that. So what I had to do is I had to create things to fulfill me that would also catapult the district, move the needle, help kids, help coaches. So a lot of programs have filled my time. So so I'm not going to be working late as a coach. Now I work even more as an athletic director, right?
You thought you were getting an easier schedule.
And I make life hard on myself because I add so many things to my plate through, I play and getting a grassroots effort going. We also have NFL flag for our pre-K through sixth graders. We have joined in with the Spurs, and we have a WNBA league and an NBA league for our sixth graders. We do summits. We have all kinds of social media. We have an Operation Dog Tags game that we salute our veterans at. The list goes on and on and on. We're starting an attendance incentive for all of our students. We do an academic all-state banquet. I could keep going and going. All these things I needed to bring to the table to fulfill me. Uh-huh. But the one thing that I have to do and will always do is I have to go to the games. Yeah. Because that keeps me sane. Just seeing the kids and being around kids, I miss that the most.
And now it's all the sports.
Yes.
All the games at every level.
Every level, all the games. And I love sitting there, and, most of the people that run our concessions knows that I love to get me a little bag of popcorn and water and sit there and watch the games. And I'm not really critiquing a coach or critiquing players. I'm just enjoying the game, the fruit of their labor. And I know when I look at these teams, how hard our coaches have worked to that point and how much time the athletes have put in and sacrificed. I'm just truly there as a fan.
Well, before we wrap up, you've done an incredible job. And I'm glad you ended this way, because I have to pull it back to SanAntonioSports. And us being longtime friends and now more colleagues, right. When I called you, I think it was 3 years ago, as we were expanding I Play After School, our signature youth program, we were looking to move into other districts. And my first thought was, let's get Judson. I'm going to call Triva. And you didn't hesitate. It was, tell me about the program. We're all in. And y'all didn't just come in. You came in with 18 elementary schools. I mean, you came in like, let's go, let's do this. And you've been our gold standard for the program, shining example of how it should be run through the athletic department versus maybe an after-school program.
Sure.
And the success that your schools have had, I think, really exemplify that. But it's not just the I Play. We've added a nutrition element, a pilot program through the food bank, and then you're such an important part of this community for our kids, for basketball, that we took it a step further this past year as we launched our inaugural San Antonio Sports High School All-Star Basketball Game Series and named our top trophy after you.
That was
It's pretty cool, right?
that was incredible, and thank you for that. It just, sometimes I don't feel worthy of something like that, but it's nice to be appreciated also at the same time. So that was an incredible feeling to have your name on anything. And I just try to hopefully be a great role model and hopefully inspire somebody else.
Well, you have been
Well, I
for
think
many,
you're-
many years.
Yeah, a huge inspiration for a lot of folks, including us. So as we kind of wrap this up every episode, we always ask our guests about what the power of sport means to them. And we do that because the mission of San Antonio Sports is to transform our community through the power of sport. So what does power of sport mean to you?
Wow. It means so many things, but I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is the power of sport saves lives. It saves my life. And there's so many kids that are not involved in sport, brings people together no matter what color, race, gender, doesn't matter. It brings you together, and it's truly a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I think that that's what the country lacks right now, that type of togetherness. And I think sport does that, and sport is something that you can put on your resume and people will know what that means. You don't have to have all the adjectives of hard work and dedication and excellence, and you just put that you were an athlete and they're going to know.
Yeah.
They're going to know what you went through and the hard work that you put in and what you're going to bring to that company or organization. So for me, it saved my life, but I love the power of sport and how it brings people together.
I think that's beautiful.
Perfect.
Triva, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being a
Thank both of
guest.
you.
Fun.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you for joining us on Game On. And a big shout out to our friends at the San Antonio Express News for hosting us. Thanks so much. Catch you next time.
Game on.